you probably don't know that in Pakistan there are such advanced and high-end heating devices to ensure that the people of Pakistan can stay warm through the cold winter. This humble small workshop in Pakistan uses cheap local stainless steel to produce highly cost-effective gas heating equipment. This heating device not only warms the room but can also cook and boil water on top. The stainless steel the worker is stamping right in front of us is the raw material for making the base of the heating stove. The worker will first punch suitable holes at the bottom of it, then using a punching machine create mounting holes on the sides of the base for installing the stove head and other accessories. Next the worker will use a spot welder to weld the brackets for fixing the ignition switch and stove cover to the base. This process needs to ensure that the welding is secure to prevent any parts from falling off during future use. Once the welding is complete the worker will carefully and patiently remove all the grease and oil from the surface. Next the worker will carry out the appearance treatment. To make the base more aesthetically pleasing and durable, they employ a high-end powder coating process here. By evenly spraying a layer of paint on the surface using electrostatic spraying then placing the base in an oven for high-temperature baking. During this process the paint will cure under heat forming a dense protective coating on the surface. After baking for 2.5 hours the worker will open the oven and take the base out one by one placing them aside to await the next step. Meanwhile the worker on the other side is making the heating net for the stove. The worker will use a spot welder to weld the nickel chromium alloy steel mesh and the mounting bracket into a heating net cover. This not only concentrates the gas flame more effectively but also makes the heating process more efficient. Next the worker will use the spot welder to weld steel wire handles onto the punched air vents. This will allow the worker to control the flame size on the top stove rack by adjusting the air vents. Once all the parts are made the worker will fix the net cover and stove head together with the connecting bracket. Then after fixing the stove rack with screws they will carefully install the gas control components. Since the stove head and heating net cover have already been assembled, here the worker only needs to fix it to the base with screws. After that the intake decorative cover is placed on and the stove rack can be installed. This process requires fully tightening the stove rack to ensure it has good support. Then the worker will carefully connect the gas pipe to the stove head. Once the internal pipes are connected the bottom belt of the heater will be installed followed by plastic non-slip pads. Next the worker will insert the gas pipe into the intake. Then the ignition switch is turned on to test the heater. Once the ignition and combustion tests are completed with no issues, the worker will also carefully check if there are any gas leaks at the bottom, to prevent any danger of gas leakage during use. At this point the cheap and durable heating stove is completed. Its low price makes it in high demand locally. After watching the entire process what do you think of this heating stove? Follow my channel for more exciting content.